Hi everyone, welcome to The Fine Line. For those of you who do not know, I am Paviana Bangs, founder of Gold Standards Only app. And to the left of me, I have Pastor R.C. Blakes of New Home Family Worship Center. And we just coming to talk to you guys about some business ethics and spiritual walk today. So have this fun journey with us.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I don't know if I was supposed to speak just yet, but I had to just say that. I'm proud of you.
No, I appreciate it.
It's amazing what you're doing, and that's one of the things I love about young people, millennials, is that you guys are dreamers. You have great vision, and you get out of the box. And I love it. I love it. I love your hair too.
Thank you.
You think I could pull that off if I had hair?
I don't know if blue would be the color for you. I'll be honest. You gotta figure out what's best for you and go with that. That's what I've learned.
Yeah. So what we're doing? Tell me what's going on with you and where we're going with this. This is amazing.
Yeah. So I actually connected with Sprinkle of Jesus. So they have a really good platform, and through this, she pretty much helps Christian entrepreneurs make sure that their visions are manifested.
Wow.
So she has not only her platform, but she's handing people the tools to be successful with their platforms.
Wow.
And this is my baby, so I'm excited to see what it'll grow into. I give help tips. I talk about my spiritual walk, times when I'm frustrated, any experiences that I go through, and I can share that knowledge with others so they don't feel like they're alone on their walk.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, I talk about fashion. That's my love. That's something that I express through my hair and the way I dress. And I think that sometimes people have a mixed notion of what that should look like, per se.
Yeah.
And because I am a millennial and a Christian, I want my life to be shown that, hey, I can love Jesus and look cool too.
Absolutely. You know, that's one of the things. That's one of the things I love so much about you as an individual, is that you are an individual. And even though some of the things that you do and your fashion and your hair may not always fit into the framework of what certain church people might deem as Christian or acceptable.
Yeah.
You pull it off and you make people understand that I can love Jesus even more than you and be different. And I think, this is one of the things that is going to really build a bridge between spirituality, the church, whatever context you want to put that in, and millennials. When they see young people like yourself who are real, but at the same time have a strong and sincere faith.
Definitely. So my first thing I'm going to address to you is, how do you feel that your spirituality is connected with your success? Like, how do you feel like a person can want to drive a nice car but still love God and it not be frowned upon, because it's almost this Christian notion that people shouldn't want to have material things because they love God.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about that? Like, what is your standpoint?
Well, I think, that there's a stark difference between materialism or being a materialist and being a successful, blessed person.
Exactly.
I believe that blessings and success are for one of the main purposes of blessings and success is to be in a position to help others.
Right.
I think materialists are people who are just kind of consumed with their own image. They probably have a shaky self-confidence, so they subsidize with a whole lot of expensive things and they put it in your face. But then there's a generation of people who just know that they were put on this planet by God to actually achieve their goals, and achieving their goals brings about certain benefits. And they use those benefits and those platforms to empower other people.
Right.
So I don't find a real conflict between success, having, and my love for God. In fact, about it, for me to fulfill much of what God requires of us to do as Christians, it means that I have to have certain means.
Exactly.
I can't feed the homeless or clothe the naked if I'm broke. Now, if I get that twisted and I take the resources that God gives me and I use it just to kind of put it in your face. I got a 10-carat diamond ring on my finger, or I got a $1 million Bugatti, or whatever these cars are, rich young children drive today. That's a whole different story.
Right.
But when I am using my resources, number one, I should enjoy them. I should enjoy whatever success I have. But I should also be a blessing to others. Right. And I think that's where the balance comes in. When you understand that God has given you this, like you,
right.
When you hit millionaire status, there's no question that you're going to be a blessing to a whole lot of people who will need not a hand out, but a hand up, right. There's the balance. For
right.
me, there's the balance. So I don't have a problem with millionaires loving Jesus.
That was very well said.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't have to be, there's this false notion in the traditional, what I call the traditional religious church, that somehow you have to be broke, you have to be struggling to be spiritual, and that to be successful and wealthy means that somehow you did something immoral or something that represents a broken character. There are a whole lot of people who live by the book, who walk a straight line and are multimillionaires, even billionaires. Right. And they haven't stolen anything, they haven't robbed anybody. They've done it the right way, because God is a God of prosperity. He's a God of blessing. Now, not prosperity in the sense that the religious church has taken it, that it's about materialism. It's really not about that. Right. Because the reality is, when you're balanced in your understanding of God and your understanding of success, most of the stuff you can afford, you leave it on the shelf because it doesn't really impress you. You don't need it for the subsidizing of your self-perspective. Yeah. I have a whole lot of jewelry from when I was young. It's just sitting in a safe now. I don't wear it. I wore it then because I was trying to prove I was somebody. Right now I have a black leather band Timex watch on and a silver wedding band that I bought in Jerusalem. You can put both of these together and you probably don't come up with $300. I don't need it now. Right. Because my self-perspective and my view of God is well adjusted.
That was very well said.
Well, thank you.
Well said.
Thank you. You're a great interviewer.
Thank you. Okay, so also, I'll speak for myself. As a businesswoman, I know it's certain things that can be brought to me when it comes to brands that may want me to represent them for the platform that I'm creating. And I also know that it's a fine line that I have to walk when it comes to, okay, this may be a good business deal, but is it good for me spiritually? And down to my core values. So how do you find the opportunities, I should say, that would benefit not only you, but what you're doing for God?
It's interesting that I'm sitting here with, you, and I consider you my daughter. And I'm, at this point, I'm 54 years old. And I'm just now really, ironically, I'm just now coming into a place where I relate to that. Right. Where somehow I have a social media following that warrants my email box to be loaded up sometimes with a lot of offers from different brands saying, we'd like to partner with you if you would lend your voice. I guess because they see a certain level of following.
The influence you have.
The influence. Yeah. And I look at the opportunities and I think about the money, but when I look at a lot of the brands, they don't represent anything I really believe in. I'm not going to do something just to make money. Right. If I can't believe in it, and if it's not something that I can earnestly, honestly suggest to my particular audience, being who I am. See, you're not a preacher, I'm a preacher. Right. You know what I mean? So there's a difference in our process. Right. But being a pastor and a preacher, it has to be something that really resonates with me. Just recently, I had one brand that reached out to me, and it was something that I could really bite into. I still haven't responded to them. And it's relative to eyewear. It's relative to, because I love eyeglasses. I have 1 million pair. But the thing that resonated even more than the fact that it's something I personally love is that this particular company is offering affordable eye care. Extremely affordable eye care to people who otherwise might not be able to afford.
Right.
And if you're into this, this can cost a lot of money.
Yes.
So thinking about that, it was something that I personally love, and secondly, it was something that could actually benefit people. That was the first time I had a brand to reach out to me that I seriously considered responding to. And I think when it comes down to you, it boils down to, do I really believe in this? Because I can't be just a talking head. You don't want to just be a person that's just, hey, I'm here talking about car tires. This is the easiest car tire to change, and you've never changed a car tire, nor do you plan on changing a car tire. It has to be something that you really believe in. There's a statement I made recently that I think applies. You have to own it to sell it.
Yes. Okay.
You have to own it to sell it, and if you can't own it, if you can't take it in personally, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to come across as being earnest and sincere, because you really won't be. And then if it conflicts with your values, if you come to a point where you're struggling on the inside relative to, should I do this or shouldn't I? I think it's probably something you should table and probably consult with people that you trust.
Right.
Because you never want to be somebody that's just selling something that you don't believe in.
Yeah.
And people will use your influence.
Yes.
Influence is powerful.
Indeed.
It's very, very difficult to attain, but you can lose it like that.
Exactly.
And when you begin to use your influence for things you don't believe in, it begins to get watered down and people see through it. You've done that. You've seen people who shifted away from their core values, and there was just something about them now that just doesn't resonate with me any longer.
Yeah. That
can be you, that can be me.
Definitely. I agree with that completely, honestly. I think I feel like what you just spoke on, it's very easy to struggle to decide on, okay, if this is something that I personally agree with and I feel like I'm comfortable making that decision, will the rest of the world agree with what I'm doing?
Now that's good too. Because I think also, okay, let me come back to me.
Okay.
As a preacher, there are certain expectations that people have of me. Some of those expectations are not fair. People almost have like deity-like standards for the preacher. They want you to be God.
Right.
And so there's some parts of my life that are just private, because I know the general public can't really handle necessarily seeing the human side of me. They want me to be this gold standard, this gold spiritual standard. And so some decisions I make, though the Apostle Paul said, though I have the right to make this choice for myself, I won't make it because it'll cause others to stumble. And when you realize that people view you as a leader, when people view you as a model, you don't let people control your life to the point that you're miserable, but you do consider how is this going to come across to people who may not necessarily be as spiritually mature, or people who are not as evolved and may see me doing X, Y, Z, or participating in X, Y, or Z, and may take it the wrong way. A lot of times I've tapered things back because I just didn't want to mislead or misguide people who have the greatest confidence in me as a leader. And I think on your level, again, you're not a preacher, you're not a pastor, so you don't have the same standard. But even on your level, all of us have the responsibility of asking ourselves a few questions, Does this agree with my core values? Is this going to benefit someone? How is this going to be viewed by people that look up to me? And in your case, is this something I would, want my children to see me participating in 20 years from now when they're finally here and grown and all of that? All of these things have to be considered. A lot of thinking goes into success. People are not successful by accident. People are successful because they've really put a lot of thought into attaining that success and maintaining that success. More thought has to go into maintaining success than attaining it.
Yes. Okay. This was a good start. Well, that's actually, it used to be a form of currency before we no longer use the gold standard.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I knew it in that time.
yeah, so for my brand, the gold standards only was in anything you do in life. In the Olympics, they're reaching for the gold.
Okay.
And everything that you do, you're doing to a certain level of excellence. So that was my standard. Everything that I want to do, I'm reaching for a golden standard.
So gold standard is your...
My umbrella company.
Got you. I got you.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I got you. So it's not, I use that term. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's why when you did that, I was like,
no.
Look at that. You felt that in the spirit. So, since we have been discussing business ethics and success on the fine line, give us a little advice for us millennials who are trying to exceed the excellent standard that we have for ourselves, and any good business advice you can give us moving forward, just with keeping our spirituality at the forefront.
Keeping your spirituality at the forefront is paramount. Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness, and all of these things shall be added unto you." So keep God first. But now you can't do like a lot of people from my generation did. And that is, a lot of people from my generation had great gifting, they had great vision, but they didn't have motivation. And so they went to church, we prayed, and we waited on God to do it.
All right.
And now we're 50, 60 years old, and nothing's happened. It's not because God didn't do his part. It's because in many instances we failed to do our part. Success is a partnership between you and God, and then God will take that partnership and he'll merge it to other successful people, which is where I'll start. Really learning how to build profitable, healthy relationships with other people. One of the greatest challenges you will have in life as any millennial, any kind of person that is striving, is you will have hangers on. When you get, as you put it, that gold standard in your mind, and you're reaching for the highest level, and you're perfecting what God has given you, there will always be hitchhikers trying to attach themselves to you.
Yes.
And when you're coming from a place of spirituality, or in our case, Christianity, it is your nature to want to, bring everybody with you.
Right.
It is your nature. You want everybody to see what you see, and you want everybody to go where you're going. And here's the reality. Most of them cannot go. And the first thing I would say is, always analyze your circle, and your circle will have to be sanitized regularly, because the people that support you on this level, a lot of them are not going to be able to go to the next level, and a lot of them are not going to the next level. That's why a pyramid, the more you get to the pinnacle of it, the smaller the circumference. It's because the higher you go, the smaller your circle, but the stronger your circle. You don't need a lot of people to make it in life, to accomplish everything that God has put in your heart to do. Lose the group thinking. Stop thinking that you're going to bring your whole neighborhood with you. Most of those cats are happy staying right where you guys, drove the bikes, rode the bikes, and climbed the trees. Pray about your circle. Make your circle intentional. Don't let people attach themselves to you, because success is very sticky and people want to attach to it. Choose the people that you allow into your life. One of the biggest mistakes I made was just allowing people to attach. And when people attach, they're kind of like leeches. Leeches attach, and they drain the life out of you. Yes. So, really learning how to build bridges, developing circles intentionally. The second thing I would say is mastering your money. When you get through praying, you're going to have some resources. The Bible says that money answers all things. And here's the kicker. Going back to my generation again, we had people with great gifting, great vision, but they didn't have money. And it wasn't that they didn't have money, it's just that they took the resources they had and they didn't funnel those resources in a direction or into a place that could substantiate or support their vision. You're going to have to be the first person to invest in your vision.
Amen.
And if you don't handle your money properly, and if you don't have the resources to invest in yourself, you shouldn't expect anyone else to.
Right.
I can come and sit at a table with you all day long talking about this is my vision, this is my plan. Any businessman worth his salt is going to ask you, well, how much are you willing to put into this?
Right.
And if you have nothing, more than likely they are not going to put their resources behind you, because it's an indication that you didn't believe in yourself enough
Right.
to put resources behind your vision. The third thing I would say to millennials as it pertains to succeeding in life is glean the wisdom. You know, there are a lot of things that, you know, because of our age difference and because I'm of a different generation than you, that you can't get about me and I don't get about you.
Right.
I can't wear my hair that color. If I made my hair that color when I was your age, they would have run me out of the church. You know?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of points where you and I may not see eye to eye, but here's the fact. The fact is that I've been here twice as long as you for a
Right.
reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it means that there's some wisdom that is in my antiquated head that can still benefit your life.
Right.
So you kind of handle your relationships with your elders and those that have gone before you, who may not necessarily see your, you know, your way of doing things, may not understand your swag or what have you. You kind of handle that relationship or those relationships like you do eating fish with bones. You separate the meat from the bones, you eat the meat, you throw away the bones. So the things about me that you may not get, you push that to the side, but make certain that you engage enough to be able to glean the wisdom, you know, how I did whatever I did that may have worked. And one of the greatest questions you can ask is, what did I do that didn't work?
Right.
Because you can learn more from a person's failures sometimes than you can their successes. And so as you move forward, you know, creating the right circle around you, making certain that you handle your monies properly. Don't just spend all your money on tennis shoes and jeans, trying to be like Floyd Mayweather and all of this kind of stuff. You know, put your money in the right place so that you have what's necessary to invest in yourself. Gleaning the right wisdom from those that have gone before you, and utilizing your time to learn. Education is so important. And here's the beauty. When I say education, though I'm a proponent of college and all of that, some of the greatest education in the world is right there on the thing you guys live on, and that's YouTube. You know, but now you can either watch, you know, women fighting in the street, or you can go to somebody who's actually educating you in your particular field.
Exactly.
You know, I use YouTube as an educational resource now. When I don't understand certain things, I can plug in YouTube and I can sit there for hours and I can learn. I can literally go to school.
Right.
So there's no reason to be ill prepared today.
Amen.
And then take, and you know, all this is coming off the top of my head, then take and create your particular gold standard. You know, be your own worst critic.
Yeah.
You know, be so for lack of another term, hard on yourself that the pressures of the world don't even move you.
Yeah.
The standard you wake up with and you have for yourself as a young businesswoman or a young businessman or mover and or shaker, that standard should be so high that when the world comes in and tries to cave in on you with its pressures and its demands, it doesn't even faze you, because my personal standard is so high, you know. And that's the difference between winners and losers.
Right.
Losers are typically driven by outside forces, and I you know, winners are driven by internal government.
Right.
And I liken it to sports. You know, I love sports. an average person in life is kind of like a football player. And by that I mean a football player needs cheerleaders and needs 80,000 people screaming defense, defense, defense. You know, push him back, whatever. And football players stand up on the bench and they beg for the crowd to make this noise to push them. And you can actually see the momentum of the crowd getting, you know, beneath the football player or the team, and the team begin to develop momentum based on the energy of the crowd.
Right.
But golfers, who actually make more money than football players,
Right.
they don't want the crowd to say anything. In fact, you distract me when you make noise. I don't need you cheering for me.
Right.
I don't need you to motivate me. I'm already motivated from within.
Yes.
And that's what I would say to every young person. Don't look for external motivation, because it's not going to be there. Most people that you call your BFFs, they're your best friends until you move to the next level.
Right.
When you move to the next level and they realize they can't go with you, it's a whole different ball game. So you have to, you know, develop that inner drive, and you can't quit. Just before we came out to do this, I was talking to a young pastor / businessman who's doing some big things in a certain part of the country, and he just had a $200,000 setback. $200,000 setback that he did not anticipate. And so he's calling and saying, hey, you know, this and that and that and that. And by the time we ended that conversation, he was saying, well, you know, I don't quit. I'm not quitting. We're going to find a way to get through this. You have to be that guy. You have to be that girl that no matter what comes at you, because a lot is going to come at you in life.
Right.
And the purpose of this stuff coming at you is to discourage your vision. But you have to be like Joseph. And if you know the Bible, God gave Joseph this great vision, and I'm through with this because, you know, I'm a preacher. I can talk all day. God gives Joseph this great vision. He says, man, you're going to be so high that your family and people are going to be bowing down to you. He tells it to his family. His brothers hate him already because his dad loves him more. Then the Bible says when he shared his vision, they hated him even more.
Right.
And they really wanted to kill him. But then they settled on throwing him into a pit, and then they settled on selling him into slavery.
Right.
Doesn't look like he's going to a place where people are going to bow down to him. He's in a pit, now he's a slave.
Right.
Doesn't look like this working. But you never read where Joseph began to speak anything negative. All we read of Joseph's life is that at every stage he was at, even though it didn't mirror what God showed him, Joseph just kept working his gift.
Right.
He just kept working his gift. Even when it wasn't paying off, he just kept working his gift. He went from being a slave, he was lied on, then he went to prison.
Right.
And he was forgot about in prison, but even in prison, he was working his gift. And then one day, God had it, some would say chance would have it, that Pharaoh needed what Joseph had perfected. You have to perfect your gift during the discouraging seasons, because when your moment comes, you can't have wasted that time moaning and groaning about how hard my life is. Your life is hard at this moment because God is perfecting some things in you. And when your moment comes, you'll be ready. And Joseph had his moment, and he stood before Pharaoh, and he used his gift. And his gift overnight took him from the prison to being the second man only behind Pharaoh. He was running the country.
Wow.
Because he refused to allow the circumstances to dictate his temperament. Master that. Master that.
Yes.
Embrace the challenges of life. Embrace the so-called failures. They're not failures, they're lessons.
Right.
They're lessons. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. The only way you can be sharpened is to have some friction in life. Sparks have to fly.
Right.
So what we call, problems, trouble, is really just God perfecting some things. And so that's my little spill on it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the fine line,
I hope
dropping
I
all
didn't
that
talk too
knowledge.
much. Did I talk too much?
No, you dropped a lot of knowledge and a lot of things that I think that we needed to hear. And I was just steal your words, but I remember you spoke into my life. There was a problem in the world that you're meant to solve. So I leave that with you. Anything, any circumstance that you may be going through, there's something out there that you are meant to do, you are meant to accomplish. So when you reach for the standard, make sure that you keep in mind that God has you here for a reason. So thank you for joining us, Bishop.
Thank you. And y'all, I love you. I love your hair too.
Thank you. Bye, guys.